Hi everyone, it's Tatyana from Tatyana's Everyday Food and welcome back to my kitchen. Today I wanted to share with you guys my oven roasted butternut squash salad with goat cheese, cranberries, almond, and honey mustard dressing. And I absolutely love this salad recipe. It's so easy to put together. You're gonna have a delicious and nutritious either lunch or dinner in less than 30 minutes. And any leftover squash that you have, you could just put into a lunchbox, save it for the next day for lunch at the office, or use it as a side dish for another recipe. So this salad recipe is going to kick off my next mini series. Over the next couple of months, I wanted to share with you guys all of my favorite salad recipes. I'm a huge salad fan and my husband and I are always looking for new and interesting salad recipes. So I'm going to be sharing all of those recipes with you guys. Make sure to subscribe to my channel and you'll get updates every time I post new recipes. Our first step is preparing our butternut squash. So I'm going to take a sharp peeler and we're just going to peel away until we get to a bright orange colored flesh. And now I'm gonna section my butternut squash. I'm gonna cut this larger bell portion in half away from the stem. So this part contains all the seeds. We're gonna cut it open and we're gonna scoop all the seeds out. I'm gonna take a spoon and just scrape out all the seeds and all the flesh out of my squash. You wanna make sure you scrape everything out. This longer stem part of the butternut squash is really easy to section. You can just cut it in half and then cut it in half again. And when you're sectioning this, the main thing to keep in mind is just try to make everything as uniform as possible. And then you can cut the bell-shaped portion of the butternut squash in the same fashion. So I just split it and then cut it into strips and then cut it into cubes. I'm gonna transfer my butternut squash into a large bowl. I'm gonna pour a little bit of olive oil over my butternut squash. I'm gonna season it with a little bit of salt. Now add the salt to your taste. If you think that you might want it less salty, just add less salt. I'm gonna add a little bit of ground black pepper. And then I'm gonna take my spatula and just give all this a good toss so all those pieces are nicely coated. I'm just gonna toss it with some fresh thyme and fresh rosemary. I'm just gonna add it to my bowl. I'm gonna give it a good toss, and then once my butternut squash is finished baking, I'm actually just gonna remove the stems from the rosemary and the thyme. So I have a large baking sheet lined with parchment paper, or you can just spray it with nonstick spray. We're gonna dump all of our squash onto our baking sheet. You just want to take your hand and spread everything evenly. And I have my oven preheated to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. And you want it to be really hot so that the butternut squash gets that nice golden brown color and it turns crispy. Now for the first about 15 minutes, I'm actually going to cover my pan with foil. And this is going to help the butternut squash cook. You want it to be really tender. And then once it's tender, you can take that foil off and let it get some color. While our squash is roasting in the oven, we could start on our dressing. We're gonna whip up a really simple honey mustard dressing today. So I have about 1.5 tablespoons of Dijon mustard, 1.5 tablespoons of honey, we have a little bit of salt, pepper, we have olive oil, and then of course I am gonna add a little bit of white vinegar as needed if it needs a little bit more tartness. So I'm gonna transfer everything into a small bowl. I'm gonna season it with a little bit of salt, a little bit of ground black pepper, and we're gonna give this a whisk. And now I'm gonna start adding my olive oil, and I add about 1 tablespoon at a time, and you wanna whisk after each addition until you have a really nice and thick creamy dressing. So I add about 1/3 cup of this olive oil. So as you're adding more oil and you're whisking it together, you'll notice it'll start to really thicken up. You'll have a nice thick salad dressing. And of course, just make sure to taste it as you're making it. I'm gonna add a little bit of my white wine vinegar to add a little bit more acidity. You can also add lemon juice if you prefer that over the vinegar. Just give it a good whisk. And then once you're done with the dressing, just set it aside until we're ready to use it. After baking in the oven for about 15 minutes, I'm gonna take out my squash and just give it a really quick toss just to make sure that everything is cooking evenly. I'm gonna pop this back into the oven, but I'm gonna leave it uncovered because I want the edges to be nice and crispy and golden brown. And now we have everything ready to assemble our salad. So I have a tray of organic mixed greens. And to the salad, we're also gonna add a little bit of slivered almonds. I also have some dried cranberries, some crumbled goat cheese, and then I transferred my salad dressing into a dispenser bottle, but you can always just use a spoon and spoon it over the salad. So I actually like to serve my salad while the butternut squash is still warm. You can always cool it if that's your preference, but I like to just toss it on here when it's still warm. So we're just gonna take a spatula and just kind of spread the butternut squash over our greens. You can add as little or as much as you want. So this is up to your discretion now. All right, we're gonna top it with a little bit of this crumbled goat cheese. I absolutely love goat cheese. You can also add feta cheese or mozzarella balls. Also gonna be delicious. I'm gonna sprinkle my almonds over the top. We're gonna add a little bit of crunchiness and some flavor and of course lots of nutrition to the salad. And a little bit of my dried cranberries. It's gonna add a little bit of sweetness. Just toss everything together. And then of course just take some of your salad dressing and spray it over everything. And now it's time to give our delicious salad a try. And I want to say that aroma from the butternut squash roast in the oven is absolutely mouth-watering. I love the rosemary and the thyme. It just smells so, so good. So I like to get a little bit of everything. I love goat cheese. It's one of my favorite cheeses. And in the salad, it just tastes so, so good. This is absolutely delicious. This is one of my favorite salad recipes. And once you try it, you'll see just why it's so good. I love that roasted butternut squash along with the creamy goat cheese. And while the squash is still warm, that goat cheese is gonna start to soften and melt. And it's just so delicious. Along with that homemade honey mustard dressing and those crunchy almonds, the sweet cranberries, just everything combined together just tastes amazing. You guys are gonna love the salad recipe. Make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. You'll get updates every time I post new videos, and make sure to share with your family and friends.